Good morning, my dear negotiation friends, and here we are again on the Procurement Zen experience. And today we are going to start a new six-part mini-series, and we're going to focus on maybe my most favorite business book, which is Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini, where we discover the six weapons of influence over the next six episodes. But before, and I have a very special share for you as well, so make sure you stay tuned until the end. But before we do that, let's quickly kick it off with the intro.
Are you looking to up your negotiation and procurement skills? You're in the right place. Welcome to Procurement Zen with your host, Phil Kowalski.
Alright then. Influence, the magic masterpiece that stands above all, at least from my point of view. And that fantastic book out of the 80s is an all times classic in negotiation and in influencing people. And by the way, maybe a short disclaimer in regards to influencing people. So, influencing people, from my point of view, does not equal manipulating in a bad way. So, influencing for me is find some common ground, influencing others to see my point of view so we can find a joint position in a negotiation. So if you don't want to do that, stop your audio player now, stop the YouTube video now. Otherwise, let's dive deep into it. Okay, so what are the six measures of influence according to Cialdini? There are reciprocity, what we cover today, commitment and consistency, social proof, authority, liking, and scarcity. So today we kick it off with principle number one, reciprocity. And in general, the belief in reciprocity is the following: if you get something, you want to give something back in return. That's why a lot of good stuff out there is free. Just think some amazing YouTube videos. They provide top-notch entertainment, and in return, you subscribe and like their videos. YouTube pays them sometimes a very decent amount of ad money. So the interesting part is that what you get might not be equal value to the request that is made. So in his groundbreaking work Influence, Dr. Cialdini talks about a significant increase about a waiter's tips that only handed his guests a few minutes after dinner. I mean, can you relate? I mean, an increase of 20, 30, 40% in a tip that a waiter gets is a multitude of the few cents that a small mint costs. So another thing which we experience quite often in our daily procurement work is the pen you get from a supplier, or a bottle of wine at Christmas, or the invite to a delivery location together with a nice meal and evening program. They don't do it because they like you so much. That can play a role, but the main reason is reciprocity, give and take. So if people tell you this doesn't work for them, which I have heard quite a lot when I started talking about this, they are either liars or naive, because this is hardwired in us. It is thousands of years old. It is evolutionary, so to say, and it's deeply anchored in our behavioral setup. It comes from the classic "I scratch your back if you scratch mine." But how can you use that as a negotiator? Well, I have 5 ideas you might want to consider. So, first idea: offer something first. Start a half-day negotiation with a nice lunch or catering in the conference room. I usually also give my suppliers a set of small branded presents. A notebook, some cloth for their glasses, a pen, some branded sweets. And it's the same principle as with the mint and the waiter, right? So that basically asks for something in return without me even mentioning it. Second idea, make your supplier feel special. Announce them in the lobby already. Use their logo. Eventually have an admin or team assistant waiting for them. That gives them that special treatment which they feel obliged to return something to you. Help the supplier outside of the conference room, e.g., sometimes you can give a reference, maybe easy for you, but very important for the supplier to market these references. Number 4, make the negotiations memorable. I once did a bunch of hand drawings instead of PowerPoint slides, all with mentioning that I don't do this for small suppliers, only for the important ones, so they feel honored. And you see, although maybe physical stuff like food and small branded presence is the most powerful one, it could also be something completely different that you give. And the 5th one is foster the relationship. Don't just drop your reciprocal item. Make sure they feel that you mean it is honest. So this concludes basically today's lesson in reciprocity. But before we do that, let me just quickly show you the resource I was mentioning before, and that is basically over at ProcurementZen.com, and you can see it here, because we have a list not only of Influence, the book, but I have reviewed some other books here as well. I link it in the description down below, and I give you practical advice, what I like, what I don't like, what is unique, and how it can be applied to a real negotiation. So make sure that you click on that link. There is a lot of useful stuff in there. I will see you tomorrow where we cover weapon number 2, and that is commitment and consistency. Until then, I wish you always happy negotiations and see you tomorrow.